What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, the politics within the sport of boxing, once again, has reared its head. As undefeated welterweight superstar title contender, the phenom, as I call him, Jaron Boots Ennis. 29 wins, no loss, no draw. 27 big wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, Jaron Boots Ennis, okay, is looking to get a title opportunity. He's the mandatory for the IBF, International Boxing Federation, with Mr. Peoples. And the IBF is not enforcing his mandatory, which would see him have to face undefeated, unified, 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not number 1, best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in ERROL the True Spence Jr. 28 wins, no loss, no draw. 22 big wins by way of knockout. 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Right? He hasn't satisfied, Errol Spence that is, hasn't satisfied his mandatory for the IBF since 2018. So it's been for 4 years since he fought against Carlos Ocampo, and he satisfied it. And father, trainer, and manager Bozy Ennis is not happy about that. Neither is Jaron Boots Ennis, right? Well, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing between Errol Spence and undefeated, unified, undisputed junior welterweight, former junior welterweight undisputed champion, 3-division world champion, who's the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who's widely considered to be the number 1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford is 38 wins, no loss, no draw. 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. That's the biggest fight in boxing. It's not going to happen in 2022. It's going to happen in the early part of 2023. So Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence not going to fight. So everybody's vying for their option to fight Errol Spence. Okay? That's his mandatories, including Lithuanian superstar boxer. And he's the WBA, World Boxing Association's regular champion, in EIMANTAS Stanionis. 14 wins, no loss, no draw. 9 wins by way of knockout. 28 years of age. 5'9" with a 68-inch arm reach. He's the WBA regular champion, and he's first in line with the WBA to face Errol Spence Jr. But according to EIMANTAS Stanionis, who's 28 years of age, that he stated that Errol Spence has vied and turned down the opportunity to fight him. He's going in a different direction, right? And now the WBA, shockingly, has ordered EIMANTAS Stanionis to face off against undefeated Mexican superstar welterweight title contender VERGIL ORTIZ Jr., who is 19 wins, no loss, no draw. 19 wins by way of knockout. 24 years of age, 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach. Now, VERGIL ORTIZ, ironically enough, is number 1 in the WBO, World Boxing Organization, for Terrence Crawford, but he never wanted to enforce that. He was also the number 1 for the WBC for Errol Spence, and he didn't enforce that either. Then he allowed himself to be leapfrogged, okay, by former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman is 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw. 22 wins by way of knockout. 33 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. Right? Keith Thurman has fought a total of 3 times in 6 years. Since unifying the belts in March of 2017 against Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman has fought a total of 3 times since that time. He's never defended the WBC title. He won it, but he never defended it. And he was stripped of the WBC title, okay, due to inactivity. Again, he fought 3 times in 6 years. Since 2017, we're going on 2023. He fought twice in 2019 and once in 2022. Okay, against Josito Lopez, Manny Pacquiao, which he lost his WBA title. And then this year against Mario Barrios, who's coming off of a knockout loss to a lightweight in Gervonta Tank Davis, who moved up 10 pounds. But the WBC decided that they wanted to make Keith Thurman the mandatory challenger for Errol Spence. So now Errol Spence, who's not eager to fight Keith Thurman, has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. Looks like he's going to be forced in that fight if he want to fight Terrence Crawford for undisputed, because the WBC is now talking about they're going to remove Errol Spence as WBC champion. They're prepared to do so if he don't honor his mandatory challenge. But the WBA was first in line, which means Stanionis should have got his opportunity. All right, so Stanionis did an interview, and he says this is the politics in the sport of boxing. Okay, he's first in line. He's petitioned to get his opportunity to fight Errol Spence, but he says that Errol Spence decided to go in a different direction, which looks like the direction of Keith Thurman in WBC, because the WBA is not looking to uphold that Errol Spence be stripped of his WBA title. So Errol Spence, he has to honor the WBC, or the WBC is willing to remove him as the champion. The WBA is not looking to remove him as the champion, right? So he's going to go with the one that's not going to strip him of his belt. And so with that said, he's going to honor the Keith Thurman fight. And Mr. Gilberto Mendoza, the WBA, is not looking to enforce this, right? So Stanionis is saying he don't know how he got leapfrogged. And at the same time, he getting ordered to face VERGIL ORTIZ, which he said is a big fight. But he don't understand where it's coming from, right? And so this, now Jaron Ennis, who thought that he could possibly fight Amanda Stanionis, right, next, is now on the outside looking in, and it's being reported that he could fight Gabriel Maestro, who has a total of about 5 fights in his career, right? It's unfortunate for Jaron Boots Ennis. He's the X-Man out. This is the politics in the sport of boxing. While people love to talk about the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight not coming to fruition because it's the fighters. It's on the fighters. No, it's not on the fighters. It's on the politics in the sport of boxing. That's what it's on. And so now Jaron Ennis is on the outside looking in, and Bozy is stating that he's petitioned the IBF to give them their opportunity and make a stand. But again, the IBF hasn't ordered any fights, and since the WBC is the big dog on the block, right, they're going to get first dibs at the Errol Spence fight. Period. Right? So it doesn't matter if Bozy petitions the IBF or not. You know, it's not going to happen. Because if the WBC is not upheld, right, guess what's going to happen? The WBA, if the WBC decides to say, all right, we'll take a step back, well, then at that time, Gilberto Mendoza and the WBA will say, well, then this is our time then, which means that Stanionis would get his opportunity then. They don't want to step on the WBC toes, period. That's what's happening here. Nobody wants to step on the WBC toes. They came out of nowhere. Errol Spence has satisfied his WBC mandatory, which was Danny Garcia. He just satisfied that. So how are they ahead of the line again? Remember, your Danis Ugas was supposed to satisfy his mandatory, which was Amanda Stanionis, and Stanionis took step aside to let Ugas and Errol Spence unify the belts. So he was supposed to be next in line, which he is. The WBC decided out of nowhere, out of thin air, to make Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios, who's coming off a knockout loss to a lightweight who jumped up 10 pounds, to be a title eliminator. To be a title eliminator. Right? That's a clear indication of the politics within the sport of boxing. And because of that, right, Jaron Boots Ennis is suffering the effects of it. And Keith Thurman asked for $10 million to fight Jaron Ennis. As I told you guys, when people ask, why didn't Terrence Crawford fight Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman don't want to fight Terrence Crawford. He wants to keep it in-house. That's the plan. And so with that said, right? Now Jaron Boots Ennis is the odd man out. He can't get the VERGIL ORTIZ fight. He can't get the Stanionis fight. He can't get the ERROL Spence or Terrence Crawford fight. And he can't get the Keith Thurman fight. And your Dana Sugas is not going to be ready to come back until mid-2023. At least. Butev just took a loss, and Cody Crowley wants $7 million to fight Jaron Ennis. He wants Cody Crowley, who beat Abdulov, who was Errol Spence's mandatory. Cody Crowley was supposed to be the mandatory. Then Cody Crowley just been sitting on the shelf ever since he shocked the world. And Cody Crowley wants big money to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. It's being reported that Jaron Ennis is going to be back January 7th now as a co-main event to Gervonta Tank Davis in Washington, D.C. But here you have a clear cut of the politics in the sport of boxing. How these managers and promoters and networks have a lasting effect on the sport of boxing. Point blank and period. You're witnessing it firsthand, the business, but the fans are not interested in the business. They like to be blinded by their love affair for just individual boxers. Be a fan of the sport of boxing first and a fan of fighters later. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.